Welcome back to day 10. You should be getting a pretty good handle on keyword research, and today I've got two more examples. One's in the parenting space and one is in the mold space. So I want to just demonstrate this for you so you can master this. Now remember to submit your questions because on Saturday I'm doing a live stream and I'm going to answer those questions. So go to asknate.net and type in your questions there. So as you're watching this episode and I do something and you're wondering why, or there's something that I don't explain very well, that's your time to ask so that you can really master this. Asknate.net and I'll answer that on Saturday. Okay, so I've got a brand new client and he is an expert with all things mold, air quality, health and stuff. And we're actually going to elaborate and expand this sheet a lot more, but I've got a few examples of things that I want to just start out and do some research. So one, I'm going to take just mold and I'm going to put that in the keyword research tool. Let me scroll up to the top. All right, and yeah, I've got the questions button turned on. I've got advanced filter turned on to 8. Now notice what we see here. These have hundreds and even thousands of searches monthly for lots of questions people are asking about mold. I wonder if I just turn this word count filter up to 10. Okay, still we've got a lot. I think I'm going to narrow it down and I'm going to start with mold tests. Okay, so that's what I'll do first. Let me just give me some space up there and I'll move mold tests, or tests singular plural. I'll put that up here. So now these are all questions about mold tests. I'm going to lower my word count back down to 8, even though there's a lot, 10 or above. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to skip over these phrases that have above 100. Once we get down to right here, I'm going to start looking at these. Can you test for mold in your body? Pretty interesting. I'm going to check that one. How do you test for mold in a house? Okay, so that one's pretty similar. In your home, in your house. There's another one for body. This one's specific to black mold though. And remember that the more specific, the better. So how do you test for black mold in your house? And that's the same. How do you get tested for mold exposure? That's kind of interesting. You feel like you've been in an environment that has mold and you want to get tested. Okay, there's one for an apartment. I don't know, if a home is different than an apartment, maybe I'll check that. Because I'm thinking about it, I guess an apartment, what if your neighbor has a moldy house? Ooh, and here's a specific one. How to test air quality in your home for mold. And how to test for mold in car AC. I like that one. Or mold spores in the air. Or mold toxicity in body. Okay, this one's interesting. How can a doctor test for mold exposure? Now, I don't know the answer to that question, but it brings up something that might be a good example for me to explain. Let's say that my client says, you don't want to go to a doctor to have you test for mold exposure. There's a better way and it's much easier. Okay, I don't know what the answer is. But let's say my client looks at that title and says, oh, that's a dumb question. I don't want to answer that because that's not what you want to do. Well, I would encourage him then to do that and address this as a misconception. So he might start out an episode and say something like, all right, today we're talking about how a doctor can test for mold exposure or whether there's a better option. Okay, let's dive right in. So then he gets into it and he can explain, like, some people think that you need to go to a doctor to test for this, but this is actually what would happen. If you went into a doctor's office, this is what would happen. They're going to have to do this and you can take a shortcut. You can order this right on Amazon, whatever that answer is. So anyway, so I'm going to grab these. I think that's a good sampling just for mold test. And I'll come and I'll paste those ones right there. Get rid of the info that I don't need or don't want it to distract me. So I could certainly go and search more for mold. We saw that there was a ton to find there, but I'm going to move those down and I'm going to start indoor air quality just to give us a variety of topics to search for here. All right, so I'll skip this first one. It's a little bit too competitive or too high a search volume. Okay, that one has the word Quizlet in it. Let's skip that one, or Brainly. And which factor? That sounds weird. How much is an indoor air quality test? So that actually relates to our previous search, but I think it's new because it's talking about like financially. How to improve indoor air quality in office. I like that. Or how to improve indoor air quality in winter. See, I wouldn't have even thought of these questions. And then in your home, that's an important one. How to test it. I think we had that one, but it's not mold test. This is indoor air quality, so that is a different question. And that one's for mold. Yeah, I'll grab it for him because I think he's gonna like it. Okay, how do I improve? Yeah, we talked about that up there. How do you fix it? It's the same thing. How much does a home indoor air quality test cost? I mean, that's super specific, and I know my client will be able to answer that. These are all the same. What are the best plants for indoor air quality? That's interesting. That's a whole different topic. Okay, and I think we've actually got all of those. So I will copy, and I will paste those right there. Okay, so this was an example for a brand new channel. The next example I'm going to show you is for one that I've actually been working with this client for a couple of years, and I'm still going to do some more digging for her. Now, this video series that I'm launching all this month to help you generate leads on YouTube, this is a companion series to my book. My book is A Hero's Guide to Influence on YouTube, and I'd like to give a copy of that book to you for free, okay? A physical copy of the book. As long as you're willing to cover the shipping cost, then that book is yours. So go to natesyoutubebook.com. I'll put that link in the description and you can have that book. Okay, so if you've seen the channel Teaching Self-Government with Nicolene Peck, she is a parenting expert and we've created hundreds of videos. So this is our keyword research doc, and you'll see that there are a lot here that are highlighted in yellow. That means we've made individual episodes on every single one of these that you see highlighted in yellow. Yeah, we've made hundreds and hundreds of episodes. So now down here at the very bottom, I have a topic that I wanted to do some more research on around teenagers. She wanted me to find some more questions specific to teenagers because she has made teenager videos before and they do really well, but a lot of her videos are about kids or children and stuff like that. So specifically, we want more questions about teenagers. So let's see how we're gonna do this one. Let's just type in teenager and see if we need to put in other phrases like parenting or teach or something like that. And in her case, she ranks for so many topics. She is so strong and dominant on YouTube. She has such a solid foundation of search that we actually can go after the phrases that have higher search volume. Now, we still use the same word count filter. We're still really specific with a high number of words, but we can go after phrases that are more competitive. So I'm also using another filter in my brain of thinking, has she made a video on that topic yet that I can remember, so I can just save us a step. This is one that I don't think she's covered. I think she will be able to rank for it because she's got enough traction. So I'm going to grab that. How to make money online as a teenager. Okay, how much do you pay a teenager to babysit 2021? Now what I would do is I would change that to the current year or to the next year. So how much do you pay a teenager to babysit 2023? I would just change that number. Okay, that one doesn't apply to parenting. This one's interesting. I think Nicolene would really enjoy this one. How do teenagers act when they're in love? That's a really fun one. Okay, I'm gonna skip some of these. Yeah, that's not really a parenting topic. So yeah, I don't know if Nicolene would want to cover this one or not. How many hours does a teenager need to sleep? Maybe she could talk about that and helping your teen that you don't think is sleeping enough. All right, so for this search, I think I'm feeling like I want to be done just with those 4, and I want to make it more specific. So let me copy those 4. Okay, and I'm going to come up here and add the word teach. It's like you're going to teach a teenager something. Okay, so look at these right off the bat, and let's see our word count. Yep, our word count is at 8. How to teach your teenager the value of money, or how to teach a teenager to manage money, or how to teach a scared teenager to drive, how to teach a teenager respect and discipline, how to teach a teenager to read and write. So that's interesting. But there's obviously people that are asking that. You'd think that you'd teach them at a younger age. How to teach common sense to a teenager. How to teach coping skills. These are all so very specific, and you can see why she's made hundreds of episodes and we still have plenty of topics left to cover. A couple more about driving. How to teach a teenager about personal hygiene. How to teach a teenager to be respectful. All right, and there's some other good ones there. I don't necessarily want to say that word in my video in case it filters it out. All right, so I will copy those. I'm going to paste those in. All right, I want to give you a heads up on what's coming next in this series, because we just did our last keyword research kind of over the shoulder demo of that demonstration. So tomorrow we're talking about lead conversion, right? How you're actually going to convert leads. We're talking about 3 steps to convert those leads into clients. The next day, we're talking about outlining and delivery of your content. So we're going to talk about how to write a script that's easy, like how to easily write a script for YouTube so your video will perform. We're going to talk about lead magnets the next day. Really a 3-step tutorial is kind of what that episode is going to be, so that you can have a high converting lead magnet. And then Friday, we're going to talk all about nurturing your email list. Okay, so a very action-packed week. Remember, as you're watching these episodes, keep track of your questions. Right as you have the question, you can go to asknate.net and you can submit your questions there, so that Saturday during our live stream, I'll answer those live. So right here on YouTube live stream on Saturday. I'll see you tomorrow in the next episode, and I'll see you on Saturday.